What's up, y'all? It's your boy Denim Jeans back at it again with another video. And today we're going to be talking about some of the biggest surprises and disappointments so far this NBA season. We're going to do a few from the West and a few from the East. And I ain't going to waste none of your time. We're just going to hop right into it. All right. I'm going to start off with the Western Conference because I usually start off with the Eastern Conference because that's where my favorite team is. So we're going to switch it up just a little bit and start with the biggest disappointments in the West so far this year. The Timberwolves are terrible. They're the worst team in the West, have the worst record, I think, in the entire league. And they just flat out suck. I understand that the two best players, D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns, haven't played together that much. But that doesn't excuse the fact that they gave up a first-round pick, top 3 protected for next year's draft, to get D'Angelo Russell, and they're still a bottom feeder team in the league. I expected them to be competing for like the 9th, 10th spot to get into the play-in tournament this year. I really did not see them being the worst team in the league at this point in the season. I don't even know if you can necessarily attribute this to Karl-Anthony Towns being out, because they were sucking even when he was there and the time that he played with D'Angelo Russell. And it's not going to get any better with Karl-Anthony Towns being out because of catching COVID. But they've definitely been the most disappointing team, not just in the West, but in the league so far this year for me. Another disappointing team out West is the Pelicans. They were sort of fighting for a playoff spot last year. Not really. They were like the 9th, 10th seed. Not the 10th or 11th seed last year. I expected them to, at this point in the year, be like the Timberwolves in the running for that last playoff play-in tournament spot, like the 9th or 10th seed. They've haven't been able to put together wins. They've had great individual performances from Williamson and Ingram night in and night out, but they haven't been able to put all that together and win games. I think that they still have time to figure it out. I think that they will improve as the season goes along, but so far this year, they haven't been playing up to my level of expectations of them. That's really it for like disappointing teams in the West. The Kings are a little bit disappointing because I really want De'Aaron Fox to be in the playoff hunt, but I think this early in the season they're still competitive for that play-in tournament spot, and they're about where I expected them to be, around the 11th, 12th seed. So it's not really too disappointing. It's about what I expected of them. Now, for the biggest surprises in the West, the Utah freaking Jazz. Oh, my God. They're the number 1 seed right now in the West, the best team record-wise in the league so far. And they're on an 11-game winning streak. 11-game winning streak, and no one's talking about them. But they are easily the biggest surprise. They probably have 2 all-stars on the team, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Definitely Donovan Mitchell, but Rudy Gobert gets a lot of hate. Or at least not a lot of love when it comes to all-star voting. And they have a better record than the Clippers and the Lakers, which I don't think anyone expected to happen this season. Granted, yes, it's still early, but so far this year, after starting out 4-4, I was like, okay, they'll probably be like around the 4 or 5 seed where they were last year. But actually, they were a 6 seed last year, sorry. But they're the 1 seed right now, and they're playing like they're damn contenders in the West, and they really could be. And I hope that they make a deep playoff run this year. I would like to see them redeem themselves after blowing that 3-1 lead in the first round last year to the Nuggets. But this team is scary, man. Mike Conley's playing well. Joe Ingles revamped after last year's slightly disappointing season. Bogdanovich is they are hooping right now. And they are not my favorite team to watch, but one of the nicest surprises of the year so far. Another team surprising me by how well that they're playing is the Memphis Grizzlies. They haven't had like John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. for a majority of their games, but they're still the 5th seed in the West right now. They almost made the playoffs last year. They missed it by 1 game. And they're young and they're scary and they're so fun to freaking watch, man. John Morant is going to be great, barring injury, for years to come. And they've won 6 games in a row after starting 2-6. They looked like they were going to hit that sophomore slump, but they've since picked it up and really surprised a lot of people out there by how well they're playing. And I really hope to make the playoffs this year because I want to see some Ja Morant playoff basketball. Now, moving over to the East, the most disappointing team so far, my favorite team, the Washington Wizards. They're trash. Garbage. Horrible. Bradley Beal's been playing like an all-star starter, averaging 35 points per game, most in the league. Russell Westbrook's been playing like hot garbage. He's averaging a triple-double, but he's not efficient at all, shooting less than 40% from the field, and shooting horrible from three as usual. Their defense is non-existent. They're just so bad. And I really didn't expect them to be this bad this year because they almost made the playoffs last year, and I think that having Russell Westbrook on the team would make them better, but it hasn't. They're worse, much worse. And I keep expecting them to turn it around and more hoping they turn it around just because they're my favorite team, but they don't. They still can't guard anything at all. They have no good defenders on their team. All they really have is Bradley Beal, who's going crazy, and Russell Westbrook, who plays well some nights and then terrible the others. Rui's okay. Thomas Bryant is meh. Troy Brown Jr. is all right. Bonga's decent-ish. I expected them to be competitive for a playoff spot, but right now it's looking like they're going to be like a top 3 team in the lottery. Very disappointing. Another 2 disappointing teams are the Raptors and the Heat. The Heat, I chalk it up to Jimmy Butler being out for so long, so I'm not really going to hold it against them because I know that they're better than what they are right now as the 13th seed in the East, and I expect them to turn it around now that Jimmy Butler's back. So they're disappointing record-wise right now, but I'm not disappointed in the team because it hasn't been their actual full team. The Raptors have had their full team, and they've been like hot freaking garbage. And I also think that they're going to turn around and make it to the playoffs this year. But so far, Pascal Siakam hasn't been playing as well as he did last year. Hasn't even been playing like he deserves an all-star spot, to be honest. I don't think he's going to be an all-star this year, nor do I think Kyle Lowry's going to be an all-star this year. And for a team that made a deep playoff run last year and won a championship 2 years before that, to now being the 12th seed in the East, having most of the same players they had on those 2 playoff teams is disappointing. Yes, they don't have Kawhi Leonard, but they were still very good last year, the 2 seed last year, even without him. And they brought back most of the same players. They did lose Gasol and Ibaka and replace them with Chris Boucher and Aaron Baines. But they're not as good, obviously, as those big men they had the last couple of years. But they're still disappointing and should be playing better than they are right now. For surprisingly good teams, I'll start with the 76ers. 6th seed last year. They were the 6th seed last year and got swept in the first round by the 3rd seed Celtics. They didn't have Joel Embiid, so it's up in the air whether or not they could have made it more competitive. But they're the number 1 seed right now in the East, playing really, really good basketball. Only on a 2-game winning streak, but they've been playing really well at home. Only lost 1 at home so far. 7 out of their last 10 they've won. And these look really solid. They got the defense. They got some shooting now with Seth Curry on the court. Ben Simmons playing at an not all-star level. Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP level. And if he can continue to play at this level, I see them being a top 2, top 3 seed in the East and potentially making a deep playoff run, assuming Joel Embiid stays healthy and can continue to play at the level that he is right now. It's really nice to see him being as dominant as he can be and being the best center in the NBA so far this year, with Jokic right behind him. But the fact that he's playing at MVP level and is translating to them winning games is awesome. And then 2 more surprisingly good teams so far this year for me are the Hawks and the Cavaliers. I didn't think the Hawks were going to be as good as they're playing right now. Granted, from 6 to 9, it's a 1.5 game difference from seed 6 through 9. Hawks, Cavs, Hornets, Knicks. And all of them are competing for a playoff spot where I didn't think that they would be. I thought the Knicks were going to be the worst team in the East by far, along with the Pistons. I thought the Hornets would be decent, okay, maybe fighting for the 10th spot, but they're solidly in the playoffs right now with the 8th seed. And then the Cavs, Colin Sexton has been playing like an all-star starter. and not an all-star starter. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but he's been playing at an all-star level, and has helped lead his team to the 7th seed so far this season. So there's a lot of teams in the East that weren't in the playoff conversation last year that are now in it, and it's refreshing to see some new teams in there, and providing some diversity to the playoff race. So I'm excited about this NBA season, like I've said in previous videos, and I can't wait to see what's to come. I'll probably make another video about this about halfway through the season to see where the teams are. But let me know what you guys think down below. Who's your most surprising good team, surprisingly bad teams? Peace. See y'all in the future.